The shot down over Iran. Inside the daring rescue of America's downed F-15, crewed the first shot down in 5 weeks of war. April 3rd, 2026. 34 days into a war that was supposed to be won in weeks. And suddenly, everything changed. Somewhere over the rugged mountains of southwestern Iran, an American F-15E Strike Eagle was flying a mission when the unthinkable happened. The jet was struck by Iranian air defenses, the first American warplane shot down by Iranian forces since this war began. For a moment, the sky over Kogiluya and Boyaramad province lit up. The multi-million-dollar fighter jet, one of the most advanced in the U.S. arsenal, turned into a fireball. 2 crew members ejected their parachutes opening over hostile territory, hundreds of miles behind enemy lines. One of them would be rescued within hours. The other would spend more than 24 hours hiding in the mountains of Iran, armed with nothing but a handgun, while both American Special Forces and Iranian Revolutionary Guards raced to find him first. This is the story of that mission. The shotdown. Manhunt. The rescue that President Trump called one of the most daring search and rescue operations in U.S. history. And the questions that remain about how this happened, what it means for the war, and whether America's air dominance over Iran was never as absolute as we were told. I'm your host. This is Geopolitics and Markets, and this is the inside story of the F-15E downed over Iran. Chapter 1, the F-15E Strike Eagle. What went down? Before we get to the rescue, let me tell you what kind of aircraft we're talking about. The F-15E Strike Eagle is not just any fighter jet. According to the U.S. Air Force, it is a 2-seat, dual-role fighter designed for both air-to-air and air-to-ground missions. It can fly at low altitudes, carries a massive payload of munitions, and has been absolutely essential to the U.S. air war over Iran because of its ability to fly long distances and strike deep inside enemy territory. Each one costs around $100 million. The crew consists of 2 officers, a pilot in the front seat, and a weapons systems officer, often called a VISO, in the back seat. The VISO is responsible for navigation, targeting, and weapons delivery. On April 3rd, 2026, both seats were occupied, and both men would soon find themselves fighting for their lives. The Iranian military claimed responsibility almost immediately. The IRGC Aerospace Force announced that its advanced air defense systems had tracked and destroyed the American jet over central Iranian airspace. This was significant. For weeks, the Trump administration had been making bold claims about the degradation of Iran's air defenses. Just days before the shoot, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said Iran's air defenses were so crippled that the United States was flying B-52 bombers, lumbering aircraft considered highly vulnerable over the country with impunity. The downing of the F-15E suggested otherwise. This was a smaller, faster, more agile aircraft than a B-52. If Iran could hit an F-15E, the airspace over Iran was far from safe, and the implications would only grow more serious as the rescue mission unfolded. Chapter 2. The Ejection. 2 men. 2 different fates. When the missile struck, both crew members ejected. But ejection over hostile territory is not like the movies. It is violent, disorienting, and dangerous. The pilot was recovered relatively quickly. U.S. forces, operating with remarkable speed, located him and extracted him from the crash area. CBS News reported that a helicopter carrying the rescued pilot came under small arms fire during the extraction, and crew members on board were treated for injuries. But the second crew member, the weapons systems officer, a colonel whose name has not been released, was not so lucky. He landed somewhere in the mountainous terrain of Kogiluya and Boyaramad province in southwestern Iran. The area is intensely rural and rugged, spanning a bare 15,500 square kilometers, home to around 600,000 people, many of them farmers and tribal communities. He was armed only with a handgun, and he was alone. Behind enemy lines, while both the United States military and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps launched massive operations to find him. What happened next became a race against time. Chapter 3. The Race. America vs. Iran. Hunter vs. Hunted. The moment the jet went down, the parallel operations began. On the American side, a massive combat search and rescue mission. According to CBS News, This involved hundreds of special forces personnel, dozens of warplanes and helicopters, and even a CIA deception campaign to aid the rescue. On the Iranian side, a manhunt. The governor of Kogiluya and Boyar province, Yadollah Rahmani, made the Iranian priority clear. He called on residents in tribal and rural areas to assist authorities in locating what he called enemy pilots. The message was blunt. Capturing any downed U.S. crew member alive was a priority. A reward was offered. Iranian media reported a bounty of around $10 billion, Taman's approximately $66,100 for anyone who captured a U.S. crew member alive. Videos on social media appeared to show hundreds of Iranian civilians heading to the mountainous area, searching for the missing American. The IRGC closed off the area where they believed the airman had gone down. For more than 24 hours, the missing colonel was out there, alone, in the mountains of Iran, hiding from everyone while U.S. intelligence tracked his location, passed it to the Pentagon, and prepared for an extraction. And then things got even more dangerous. Chapter 4. The Rescue Mission. A daring operation under fire, the rescue operation was not without cost. As U.S. forces moved to recover the downed crew, Iranian air defenses and ground forces engaged them. Here is what we know about the losses. First, an A-10 Warthog attack. Plane-a-jet specifically designed for close air support and ground attack was hit around the same time as the F-15E. The pilot ejected over the Persian Gulf and was safely rescued. Iranian officials claimed their air defenses had shot it down. Second, a U.S. Black Hawk helicopter was hit by ground fire during the rescue efforts. It escaped safely, but crew members were injured. Third, Iranian media reported that a U.S. drone was shot down while searching for the missing airmen. And here's where the accounts diverged dramatically. The United States has acknowledged the loss of the F-15E, the A-10, and damage to one helicopter. 2 U.S. officials confirmed these losses. Iran claims far more. Iranian state media has reported that the IRGC shot down 2 Black Hawk helicopters, an AC-130 transport plane during the rescue operation. The Iranian military also claimed that 2 U.S. transport planes malfunctioned inside Iran and had to be destroyed by U.S. forces to prevent capture. These claims have not been independently verified. The U.S. has not confirmed any additional losses beyond the F-15E and the A-10. But what is clear is this. The rescue mission was not a simple in-and-out operation. There was engagement between U.S. and Iranian forces. Firefights broke out. The BBC understands that U.S. forces used bombs and weapons fired to keep Iranian troops away from the missing airmen's location. This was, by any measure, a high-stakes military operation conducted deep inside enemy territory. Chapter 5. We got him, and then, early on April 5th, just before midnight Eastern Time on April 4th, was over. U.S. media reported that the missing crew member had been found. Minutes later, President Donald Trump took to Truth Social with an announcement. "We got him!" My fellow Americans, over the past several hours, the United States military pulled off one of the most daring search and rescue operations in U.S. history. Trump revealed that the missing officer was a highly respected colonel who had been behind enemy lines in the treacherous mountains of Iran, being hunted down by our enemies. According to the president, U.S. forces had been monitoring his location 24 hours a day before launching the operation to extract him. The rescue, Trump said, involved dozens of aircraft, armed with the most lethal weapons in the world. The colonel had sustained injuries likely during the ejection process, but was expected to recover fully. Notably, Trump also revealed that the rescue of the first pilot had not been publicly confirmed earlier, because we did not want to jeopardize our second rescue operation. The second crew member was taken to Kuwait for medical treatment. And with that announcement, a potential crescista prospect of an American prisoner of war being paraded on Iranian state television was averted. Chapter 6. The Aftermath. 2 narratives, 1 war. But here is where the story gets complicated, because while Trump was celebrating what he called the miraculous rescue, Iran was telling a very different story. The Iranian narrative has consistently framed this as an American failure. The spokesman for the Khatam al-Anbiya Central Headquarters described the rescue mission as a failure, claiming that the enemy's desperate efforts to rescue its downed fighter pilot failed thanks to Almighty God's blessings. Iranian state television repeatedly likened the incident to Operation Eagle Cloth, failed 19 U.S. hostage rescue mission in Tabriz, Iran. which ended with 8 American servicemen dead and no hostages rescued. The Speaker of Iran's parliament, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, mocked the US war effort on social media, writing, "This brilliant no-strategy war they started has now been downgraded from regime change to hay. Can anyone find our pilots? Please." Who is telling the truth? The answer, as is often the case in war, is complicated. The US successfully recovered both crew members. That is a fact. No American service members were killed in the operation, according to Trump. But the fact that an F-15E was shot down at all after weeks of US claims about the destruction of Iran's air defenses has undeniably damaged the narrative of American air superiority. Retired US Marine Corps Colonel Brendan Kearney told the BBC that the success rate on this type of operation is usually very, very low, making the rescue a testament to the training of the airmen and the skill of the forces who extracted him. But he also acknowledged the obvious. An American jet was shot down over Iran. The airmen spent more than 24 hours hiding in Iranian territory, and US forces engaged Iranian troops in firefights to get him out. This was not the easy war some had predicted. Chapter 7. What happens next? The strategic implications. So where does this leave the war? First, the downing of the F-15E has exposed a uncomfortable truth. Iran's air defenses are not as degraded as US officials had claimed. If Iran can hit an F-15E, the airspace over Iran is contested, not controlled. Second, the rescue mission itself, while successful, demonstrated the risks of operating deep inside Iranian territory. The US lost at least 2 aircraft, the F-15E and the A-10, and had a helicopter damaged. If Iranian claims of additional shootdowns are true, the cost could be even higher. Third, the propaganda battle continues. Iran is framing this as an American humiliation. The US is framing it as a heroic rescue. The reality lies somewhere in between, but perception matters in war. And finally, there is this. The war is now in its 6th week. The US has not achieved a decisive victory. Iran has not collapsed. And both sides are settling into a conflict that could grind on for months. The question that remains hanging over Tehran, Washington, and Tel Aviv is not whether the war will end soon, it is how much worse it will get before it ends. An F-15E shot down over Iran. 2 crew members, 1 rescued within hours, 1 hiding in the mountains for more than a day. A rescue mission that involved hundreds of special forces, dozens of aircraft, and firefights with Iranian troops, and 2 completely different narratives about what it all means. One thing is certain. The war has entered a new phase. And for the first time since it began, America has been forced to confront the reality that its aircraft are not invincible over Iranian skies. The colonel, who survived armed only with a handgun, evading capture for more than 24 hours, will have a story to tell. But whether that story is one of American heroism or American vulnerability depends entirely on who is telling it. And in this war, both sides are telling very different stories. This is Geopolitics and Markets. If you want to see the world not from the headlines, but from what's hidden beneath them, you know where to go. See you in the next episode.